Hello everyone. So I want to make this video to update everyone on what I'm doing for my One Dagger. I'm probably gonna keep playing One Dagger on South American servers, and I might swap on the North American to play One Dagger later on. I'm not sure what I'm gonna play on the North American servers yet. I'm between One Dagger, One Orb, and Orb Dagger. But regardless, let's start. So the first thing I did was separate all the new pieces of gear that have set effects into groups. The first group is going to be co-op and Nebula. That means you can get those sets from doing dungeons, which means they're going to be pretty available. So that's really good. If you want to just make a set for tier 3, those pieces are going to be the ones that are going to be able to get really easily compared to the other one, which is going to come from field bosses and Nebula. So the heavy, the crit, and the menace/shoot sets gonna all come from field bosses. So all of those pieces are very hard to get, and I don't recommend making a build using exclusively those. But you can use a piece or two, like the chest piece that has heavy attack damage. Regardless, I was trying my best to think of builds. I tried a bunch of different things. I was trying to figure out what I could do, what I couldn't do. Most of the time, I was trying to check what piece of gears I could get that were not like impossible to get. Just like Nebula gear on the start, that was like drops only from Nebula bosses, drops only from like Nebula RNG, drops only from field bosses. Because honestly, I don't like using those in any build because they are hard to build, they are expensive, and on the start, they're really not available. So I try just to focus on having materials from the co-op dungeons, like I said, but I couldn't figure out a way to build something that I wanted, and that's because the status and the tier from tier 3 gear feels more of a 3.5 to 2.5 type of gear than 3. I imagine more tier 3 gear will release in a few months, and probably very soon with the new region, Draco I imagine, right? But until then, I didn't really love a lot of the gear. I know a lot of people that are also having trouble to build something nice, and I know a lot of people that just plan to swap some piece of gear and keep everything else like before. I'm similar. I'm trying to keep this sacred set at least 2 pieces because it's the best damage that we have. So what else I was trying to do was give up a little bit on the evasion side and try to focus on having hit, crit damage, trying to make off a glass cannon bomber. But that didn't really work out. I was really struggling to get things going. I could get high crit damage, high heavy attack, but then you struggle to get either hit or weaken chance, and or you can try to focus only on weaken chance and get a little less heavy. But I just didn't like the numbers I was getting. I tried to build a bunch of different things. It's impossible to build right now with the current build we have without getting the field boss things to go glass cannon. So that's also going to be very expensive to risk it and test without having any baselines. Because right now we don't have any baselines to what's going to be the average hit of the melee players, the average hit from magic, ranged, the average evasion of the users, the average weaken chance and weaken resist. So we can only guess based on the numbers that we have, right? From tier 2 to tier 3. So I set up some baselines that I was trying to get, and I tried to work around it. So I ended up getting a very specific build. I'm gonna say that right ahead. There's no sugarcoating to it. I tried to play with the Zerock daggers, using the E.Tevent on the legendary, but I didn't manage to find anything that I really enjoyed. I don't like the status that we got. I don't like the results. As always, I use only basic tier 1 traits on the heroic thing, right? I only use the first chick of every heroic. And on the artifacts, I only use the first one single liner here because I think it's more realistic to work around. And this also has no chaotic, no foods, no anything. So this is raw status that you can work around. This was the best build that I found after checking the status line and everything. I was more okay with everything. The only problem was the melee evasion, but that is a problem that doesn't have a real solution. I'm gonna explain better soon. I was happy with the weaken chance. I was happy with everything around here except the melee melee evasion. The heavy was okay because when you combine that with the PvP heavy, it because this ring only gives PvP heavy attack. It goes to 1.75, so that was pretty nice. I was, like I said, happy overall with the build. The evasion here, with the way that the new evasion side works, is you get 200 extra when you start getting hit. So you gotta add 200 on everything here. So it would be 2.5 thousand magic, 2.1 range, 2.8 melee pre-buffs, right? So if you add the roll buffs, you're gonna get like 3.1, 2.8, I think, right? So it was okay because this is pre-buffs. So I decided to play a little bit with this, and I decided to... Oh yeah, by the way, none of this have any pieces of gear that are not easy to get. Everything is co-op dungeon drops, basically. So I went up to this because I have a Deluzhnoa dagger and I have been using it a lot, and I actually think it's right now the best dagger that you can use with one dagger, Darkblight. So on this one, I decided to max out everything. So I maxed out everything that I could, all the traits. I put chaotic rooms everywhere you could. On the artifacts, I picked the best artifacts that makes a difference for me. And I start to check the status, and I'm very, very happy with it. I can get 2.3 thousand magic hit chance. So when you use the smoke with the buffs and the back attack and the passives, you'll go to 3,000 hit. That means you're gonna be hitting most of the players currently. I had on the PvP evasion 2.9 basic magic evasion, which is gonna be 3.1 thousand when with the procs, and with the buffs is gonna go to 3.8 thousand. So that's like a lot of magic evasion. That's really good magic evasion, and that was something that I was wanting, because I think the biggest thing on the PvP that's gonna come on tier 3 is gonna be the orbs, big CC, big AoEs. So I wanted to get really high evasion because I think people are gonna start using a lot of CC with like GS orb and stuff like that, SNS orb. So I wanted to get a good evasion to not get CC. The range is gonna go to 2.5, 3.1, which is good enough for a lot of things like crossbow. The melee evasion was 3.4, which is gonna go to 3.6, almost 3.7. So it was overall very okay. And what I can even do is move my melee evasion to around 3 or 2.8 and move the rest of the evasion to even more magic or even more range. It's very flexible because I did with a bunch of chaotic runes and with resonance. So it's very easy to transfer around this extra melee evasion here. And the reason why I don't mind too much having lower melee evasion is because the melee evasion is just to dodge CCs and glass cannons. So if a glass cannon is attacking you, most of the time they don't have high hit. If a tank is attacking you or trying to CC you, most of the time they don't have high hit. So you only need evasion for those. Oh, but what do you do about those GS dagger guys that just pop prone and won't tap you? Well, the thing you do, you either prop Deluzhnoa dagger smoke to cancel their combos, or you use the Grid Seeker or Solar Stone, the artifact. I have been using this as of recent for PvP because there's no counter to GS Dagger. There's no counter to GS Dagger. GS Dagger simply gets any amount of hit they want for free, any amount of heavy attack they want for free. They get a bunch of HP. GS is just the most busted weapon in the game. But regardless, on small scale at least. This basically denies the entire one-shot of the GS users, so this is already enough to counter, the Deluzhnoa is enough to stop them, and the evasion sometimes can save you from the GS daggers. So this is how I deal with that. So, and that was the only problem that was happening, other than the range X-bows / scorpions / infiltrators, which having higher range evasion here by transferring or just proccing, going to almost 3.1, 3.3 to 3.8 should be enough to stop them. You are looking here and you're probably confused because I'm not using the 2 evasion set. The reason why I'm not using the 2 evasion set is because I need this piece, like I said, to survive, and I like to use 4 pieces here for the extra CC chance, so I can get procs more often with my E.Tevent, with the curses overall on healers and tanks. So I wanted to do this. But in case you don't need more CC chance, you can swap this for 2 evasion nodes, which is gonna do even better for you on the dodging aspect. I might change that. I'm not sure how the CC chance is gonna stay right now. With this build here, I have a total of 2.6. Then I can still move some, for example, chaotic runes. Here is all melee evasion, right? So I can move this on to be more weakened chance, so I can go upwards to 2.3. I can, if I need, to swap the dagger for the Min Resurrect dagger, so I can go to 2.4, 2.5 thousand weakened chance. I think that's overkill, but you never know. So it's always good to have the swaps, but this is just to ensure the extra weakened chance. But in case this is already too much, we can reduce this and get 100 more in each evasion, which is big. It's really big, actually, from the number we already have. So the idea here is to evade a lot, have really high cooldown reduction, because you can see the wisdom here is very high. The Deluzhnoa already reduced the cooldown of the smoke, so we're going to be cycling the smoke in the invis a lot more often, because we're going to be proccing the reset of them a lot more often, because we're going to have evasion much higher than before for all 3 of them. So this is a really strong setup, and the reason why I have 20% crit damage and I have the Chaos Hallbringer Lunar Stone is because shields were already very present in the game everywhere, like spears, wands. There was a lot of shield in the game, SNSs, right? But now with the orb, there's even more shield in the game, so that means you're going to be proccing that all the time. So you're going to constantly have 15% extra critical damage, which leads to 35% critical damage, right? But you're probably asking, oh, but how do you proc this critical damage, since you don't have very high critical chance? I have only 1000. So the trick here is you're gonna be creating often, regardless, other glass cannon / evasion users. So if the guy doesn't have much endurance, you're gonna be proccing this crit damage, so that's nice. But the other trick is, for endurance targets, there's 2 ways to bypass that. 3 ways, actually. The first one is sleep. If an enemy is sleeping and you can crit that enemy. The second one, if you are invisible, your first attack is gonna be a crit, so you can you abuse that to do crit curses. And the third one is Deluzhnoa Smoke, and that's why I said it's a very specific build. This was built for me and based on my concepts and ideas. Deluzhnoa Smoke freezes enemies around you, and the first hit on the enemy frozen is a crit as well. So what that means is I have 3 ways of creating, and they're gonna be very consistent. The sleep is not consistent and we don't use it, but the invis, we should be proccing invis a lot more often with this amount of evasion and this amount of smokes that we're gonna be popping. We're gonna be popping smokes a lot more often because we already have 30% cooldown from base status, plus 30% cooldown from the Deluzhnoa passive. So we have around 50% cooldown on the smoke, so it's half of the cooldown, plus the resets. We should be able to pop a lot of smokes and therefore be able to have ways of proccing crits more often. So that's the whole concept of the build. We have evasion for almost everything except GS Dagger or Gladiators. But for those, we use a Grid Seeker Solar Stone to get up with Purifying Stone to survive. We're mixing Deluzhnoa Smokes and Invis to also dodge them as best as we can. On top of that, we're gonna have very high magic hit, we're gonna have decent range, we're gonna have decent weaken chance, we're gonna have decent magic heavy attack chance, and we can use all of that to combo and do damage, while at the same time comboing with the crit from the smokes and the invis to do even more burst damage. So we're gonna have decent defensives for all of the defensives now, not only for magic and melee, we can even do it for ranged. Basically covers everything. I think this build is gonna be mega solid, but this build has way too many conditions. That's the problem. It's the same thing as before. Darkblight has always been like that. You're gonna need to have chaotic runes, you're gonna need to have the Deluzhnoa Dagger, you're gonna need to have very good artifacts, so keep in mind that it's not like perfect. But I think this build is mega solid and can definitely be played in like a very high PvP level on tier 3. I'm very excited to try this. I just don't know when I'm gonna try this because I'm gonna need to find an active guild and play on the South American server. But yeah, that's about it. I hope this was helpful somehow. I hope this The links are all gonna be in the description. Oh, and one more thing, I'm gonna be doing another quest log for the NA version, which is gonna be 0 to hero, which I'm not sure I'm gonna play yet. If it's gonna be one dagger, one orb dagger, and on PvE one staff or orb staff. But that's about it. Thank you for watching. See ya.